What's happening? It's your girl, Mickey Boo. We got a special guest in the building. My boy Elaine came through. What's poppin'?
Things are going great, man. Blessed to be here.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here.
For sure.
So how has life been treating you? How's life behind your lens?
Life been great. I feel like I've been in an ascending process.
Okay.
Lately, spiritually.
Okay.
I feel like I'm more in tune. I feel like I'm moving more towards like my purpose.
Okay.
And that's what got me here today too. So.
Okay. So how do you know the difference? What did you feel before you started feeling this elevating and ascending period in your life?
I feel like it's less resistance.
Okay.
I feel like once I move towards like what it is that I enjoy within my life, I realized that I could flow more. I feel like I go through a lot of like fear in between, like going into the unknown, not going into the unknown, going in what's like comfortable for me. But I felt like once I decided to just walk into that unknown, I realized that through that is where like my happiness resides.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like I sacrifice certain things in terms of like my certainty of just like a job or whatever, and then it's like more pursuing what's in my heart, which through the less resistance, it's like everything's just been happening like without me trying.
Right. So you're basically breaking away from the conditioned things that you were taught, and you just more moving freely and with the flow of what feels natural to you.
100%.
Okay.
I just feel like, especially like with me, in just terms of my body, you know what I'm saying? It's like I've been neglecting it so much in just terms of like the 9 to 5, or just the fear, or just not putting the right foods, that it just didn't have me in the right place. You know what I'm saying? And then I felt like once I started to actually just like take time out and just invest in myself, invest in my mind, invest in my spirituality, kind of become isolated. I just realized that like I became more energetic, and I just felt like things just falling into place, and like.
So you've been watering you.
Watering.
You've been instead of looking outward, you're looking inward. Like, what am I feeling? What am I doing with my time? How am I thinking? What am I putting out? Wow, that's beautiful. 100%. And so I know that you're real big on reading books and, you know, getting information to further you on your journey. Like, can you give me a little bit more of like, who's your favorite author, or something you ran across that was just juicy to you, that was feeding your soul?
Apart from the books, I say,
and YouTube
author-wise,
too.
Yeah, author-wise, I say I love like people like Napoleon Hill, Bob Proctor.
Yes.
Manly P. Hall.
Okay.
That's a special one if people looking at him. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like life's my greatest teacher.
Yes.
I realized that like once I just listen to me, and not nobody else, I realized that experience is the best thing that taught me. You know what I'm saying? It's like if I was to listen to anyone else, it's like so much more resistance there. And I realized that I didn't learn listening to other people. I feel like people could give information, but when it comes to like experience, only life could teach you that.
Right.
Because someone could tell you something and you're not going to understand what it is unless you do that for yourself. Exactly. And I feel like once the experience transition into you, that's how you're able to actually figure out how things are in terms of the world.
I actually agree with you on that method. That experience is the best teacher, because people really, I feel like truth only comes from your truth, and what works for you may not work for me. And you know, and even then they have ways and they have experiences that may have triggered them. So where are you coming from with this information? Is this pure information from intuitive guidance? Is this coming from hurt? Is this coming from failure?
Exactly.
Did you succeed when you know? So everybody is different. Everybody's mind is different. The capacity of work that they can put out is different. So you can't give me steps on life to make me, you know, do the same thing you did. Now I would take heed to certain information, but experience and intuitive guidance, going in, praying, and meditating is what's going to help you get there. It'll help you get further, because some people don't do that. They learn and make mistakes. Maybe they learn from it, or maybe they go through cycles. But when you really go within yourself, it takes a certain type of discipline and routine to keep that energy flowing, or, you know, because this world is magical and it's not easy either.
That's who. And one of the biggest things I really realized, if you are going to listen to somebody, listen to the individuals that are in the field of the things that you want to do.
Yes.
Because I used to listen to individuals who were not in the field of what I wanted to do, and it was a total different information than the people that, when I ask the individuals who are in that field, you'll realize it's like night and day. So people who are not in the field are just giving opinions. You know what I'm saying? You can't ask a poor individual how it is to be wealthy or financially stable. You know what I'm saying? You can't ask a person who is not confident how it is can they build personal attainment. You know what I'm saying? Or, like, for instance, as simple as, like, a lot of people will look at, like, a Floyd Mayweather as like he's arrogant or this and then third. But once you meet people who are of that caliber, you will realize that
they have to be that way.
They have to be that way. You know what I'm saying? They condition their mind, and your mind is a powerful tool. You know what I'm saying? As a man thinketh, so is he. You know what I'm saying? So most of the people who can't understand are not on that frequency.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a weird dynamic, but as you ascend spiritually, you start to see really
things
just
for what
like
they are.
For what they are. Yeah.
So while you're on this journey, what has changed in the relationship realm for you as far as family and friends? Like, have you set boundaries? How are you protecting your peace? And have you reached a peace level?
I wouldn't say I haven't reached a peace level yet, because I know that's a never-ending journey. As far as setting boundaries, I just would say that, like, I'm a little bit more isolated, because I understand now that I have to get myself to a certain level. I have to take care of myself in order for me to take care of anyone else. Prior to that, it's like I would get information, I would get knowledge, and it's like I'm trying to give. But I realized in the realm that we're in, a lot of people will not actually listen to you until you are at a certain standpoint or a certain light within you. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like they'll see an individual and they could see them on a certain process. It takes time for you to actually be on that process for a while for an individual to realize that this person is true to what they're doing. So let me actually pay attention, analyze, and also follow into these individuals' footsteps.
Right. Okay. So you're more like, okay, I'm not going to keep pouring out. I'm going to take my lessons and my teachings, and I'm just going to cocoon it. I'm going to meditate in it. I'm going to marinate in it, and I'm just going to keep elevating.
100%, because it's just like, I figured out that, like, as you gain information, you realize that sometimes you don't really fully know the information yet. You know, it takes like a week, and then you finally get the full scope, or longer. Sometimes it takes way longer. You know what I'm saying? And until you really, or you'll figure out that, like, the truth that you know, or the information that you know, or the path that you're on is not 100% the full-blown path. You know what I'm saying? So you have to take time to actually realize what it is, understand it, know how to teach it, and then present that to someone. But the greatest teacher is actually just letting that light shine through you. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody say things. Well,
let me say this too, because I want to debate about it, but I just want to debate one sentence of it. So I believe that lessons and any type of form of teaching is being told to us, right? And this is where cycles happen. It's up to your mindset to grasp the picture. See what I'm saying? So if you didn't get it in one way, it's going to come in another way. So just like in school, we have all these different subjects: English, science, social studies, math, and so forth, right? We have that in our life. We have relationships. We have the work realm, which could be entrepreneurship or working for somebody. You have a family realm. You have your friends realm, or how you engage with others. And if you don't get it there, you may have to learn a lesson in the other department. Then you might have to, you're going to keep seeing it, and you may have a deja vu moment. You may feel like you felt that or seen that before, or like, why do I keep going through this same thing? But when you do finally get it, which is catching on, then you have that moment, like, what the, so I think it depends on the person's learning ethics to how they receive the information, because sometimes we fight. We no, you ain't even gonna play on me like that, or I don't understand, I'm gonna fall back, whatever. But then it presents itself again, and then you have to respond again, and you don't come out of a test until you pass it.
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think
or does that make sense?
It makes sense. I just think that
it still takes time to learn certain things.
Not even that it takes time. It takes for when the individual is ready.
Exactly, to receive that information, because I remember I smoked during my neck injury to help me with pain, right? And I remember when I did start receiving intuitive information, and I was like, oh, no, that's bogus. God, bring me down from this high right now. Yeah. I don't want to know that. I don't want it, right? And then a week later, I'm like, yo, that really the next day, I thought about it like, no, I'm scared. I don't want to think about that. And I'll fall back. And then it come back up again. And I'm like, dang, wait. That makes sense. Because it'll play out somewhere else in my life. Yeah. And I got it that way. And I'm like, dang.
Yeah. I think we've been so programmed to where the truth sometimes could be hard. Or even just certain information of just like knowledge of knowing something. Like how you said you thought about it. And anything new. It's our brain goes through this process of just trying to figure out, is this reality? Is this the real truth? You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of our lives are just a way of how we're supposed to live, the things we're supposed to eat, the things we're supposed to do with our lives. A lot of it is not really the authentic way. And
I think that's what happens with midlife crises. We've our environment has taught us one way, and then when we get out into the real world, it breaks us, because we're like, hold on, what's this new? I didn't. What was my parents teaching me?
Kind of just like school. It's like I went to college, I got my bachelor's and everything. But everything that they were teaching us, I wouldn't say that it didn't apply. But with the real world, once you get out of that, it's a different like scope of a ball game. Like everything that we learned taught us a certain way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then you had to figure that out. And for 4 years of just being programmed of thinking like this is how it is, and then you just poofed into the real world, it's very disruptive to the mind.
Yes, it hurts you emotionally and mentally, again, because it's hard to grasp. And I think that's why we struggled with change in the past, for those who are not open to going with the flow of the natural way of life or natural things that happen. That change is hard for some people. It was hard for me, so the new things, the change, anything unfamiliar. That's how people go back to familiar situations and things, because it's what you've come accustomed to.
100%. It's a scripture in the Bible that said like you have to suffer like Christ before you're renewed. I feel like once you're on the journey to truth, everyone goes through that process, for the simple fact that we're so rigid away from natural. We're so rigid away from truth. And once we start to be on that journey, it's a shedding process. It's a shedding process. It's a shedding process. It's a shedding process. And that's how you start to gain more light. But before you gain light, you realize that I was so far in one direction. You know what I'm saying? And to bring it back into the other direction, it takes just as much work. And the brain likes familiarity. It's called neurological pathways.
Okay.
And if you look at it like a passageway, once we create a habit, the habit never leaves. So when you once you want to create a new habit, you have to go through this process, which is uncomfortable for the brain because it does not like to try new things. So a lot of us have habits that are actually not for us, like just too much drinking, too much sex, too much indulging of the body. You know what I'm saying? The spirit is a total different entity than the body, right? Once the spirit is happy, the body's happy, because the spirit will tell the body what to do.
Right.
You, in reality, are not your body. You are holding, your spirit is holding the body, which is the vessel.
Right.
All right. That's why when you die, they tell you that energy is not created or destroyed, it's just transferred.
Right.
So you are just an energetic being inside of a body.
Right.
So you are a representation of how your soul is doing. So once you look at an individual, you can tell how they're doing based on how their body is.
Correct.
Right?
I agree.
So it's a powerful thing.
Yes, it is. And that was so good. Elaine, I truly appreciate you for coming to share that awesome information with us. I hope that someone grasps this and, you know, even if it's not today, maybe tomorrow, next week, but if you liked it, share, subscribe, and, you know, tell a friend. I do believe that this is the way to live. This is the way to be. Set boundaries. Find out who you are within so that you can live a more abundant life.